secretary. Were there any, we all saw the secretary's report, go short, because we went, our last meeting was.
Well, I brought the, was it January 6th?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
This
and
is
the January
6th one, and then you saw the
short one. Yeah.
It was Sabina said that we had.
Just to say that we went into executive session. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Any revisions needed or motions on the floor?
I move that these excellent, fabulous, terrific notes be accepted as written.
I'll second that. Okay, great.
Thank you.
All right, on to the financial report. Jeff, we got your financials.
I did send it out to everybody as an email. Current checking
Just
balance is $80,000.
Good.
According to my calculation,
With holes
we
or
raised
lines.
almost $43,000.
Mm-hmm. That's what we were just talking about.
That's in, I don't know if there's other money in a different.
There is still some that should come from our GoFundMe. They mail us a check periodically. So there's a little bit more, but probably not like a ton more. Maybe a few, like a couple thousand that will still get sent to us.
Okay.
We were up to what, about 27,000?
Yes, but that did include some of the checks because at the beginning I put it in so that our fundraising efforts didn't look small and sad. Yeah.
And I think that we received $600 from the concert.
Right.
Mhm.
Yes.
But it comes up that the artist has been paying us through Venmo.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a little odd, but okay.
Yeah. I think because all the ticket money went straight to her. So then she donated the $450, which was the percentage of the ticket sales, and then she wanted to donate an additional $150 as well. So I think it might have come in too.
So were there tons of people there? Did anybody go?
Yeah, there were about 80 people, I
okay.
think.
Great.
Yeah.
It was very good.
Yeah.
It was a really
I
good
wish
show.
Yeah.
King Marvel out of Nashville.
Should I be writing her a thank you note?
Yeah, I think
Okay,
so.
so definitely.
Will you give me her name?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
And speaking
And
of
Emily Algernati too.
Okay, I'll touch base with you.
And speaking of thank yous, I'd like to thank Jim Carroll for making and putting up signs for our successful.
Wonderful.
Yes,
Wonderful.
Thank you.
So,
Caused a little trouble.
Yeah, I saw them all right on Sunday, and then
Good
Monday I
job.
went someplace and I came back with
Three
eight.
trucks came out of the town garage to
Oh,
pick them up.
Oh, that's a waste of their time.
So I had to go over to the garage to get them and then get something because I put them in the snowbanks.
Well, there is a process for posting,
Okay.
and it's an application you put in.
Can I just get back to, I know we will
Right.
definitely officially thank you, but we have not finished our
No, I
financial
don't need to
report.
thank you.
Yeah, we will definitely officially, I just don't want to cut off Jeff. He was in the middle of his financial report.
The only thing a little unusual, well, we did pay the overtime to the town for last year, which came out to $5,200.
Okay.
It's fine. I just
Yeah.
want the board to be aware that we did make that.
I move that we accept the
If we
report
have overtime
as
above
reported.
what the budget is for the town, then we pay it every year. So that's not an unusual amount.
Thank you notes. Do you want me to write a thank you note to the big donor? Or are you gonna do that, or is Lindsay gonna do that?
Yeah, let's talk about it tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm happy to write too if you need me to.
Was that an
Yeah.
anonymous donor, or do they choose to be that way?
I don't know if they want to be anonymous or not, so I'm happy to share with anybody here. We're just recording right now, so I don't know if they want everyone
Exactly.
in town to know.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I move that the treasurer's report be accepted as well.
Okay. Is there a second?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is there any building questions, issues, non-related to the building project?
Just maybe now that it's thawing, we could work on getting the mailbox in sometime soon.
Oh,
Oh, it's at your house.
Yeah. Whoever's gonna work on that, let us know.
Thanks for.
You guys, just for simplicity, want to put it next to the Dropbox for now? a lot,
Yeah.
a lot will change
I think
in the
so.
coming, in 6 or 8 months, but we'll just put it there for now. Does that
Yeah.
work?
Why will it change in 6 or 8 months?
Because they're moving the building.
Oh, because they're moving the building,
We'll
okay.
be putting
Yeah.
drainage in
Moving up
and
building.
things like that.
Our building,
So
to
what,
replace the foundation, they're gonna have to lift it. And
And
Or new
the whole
foundation.
perimeter of the buildings.
Got it.
going to
I
be
would get my
excavated.
popcorn.
it'll be very fun for lots of children everywhere in the
Yeah.
town.
I know, really.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, truck day.
We
Yeah.
should actually make a program out of
So
it.
how to move a building.
With the mailbox, do we want to just put a reflective number on it, or do we want to get some deck, something nicer to, say center circle, or just put the number 7 on it and be done?
I don't have a preference. I'm happy with anything.
7 is fine with me.
But I'm just thinking, speaking of moving the building, I think that when and if that does happen, that we ought to record it so people can actually see, the people who gave money can see, this is what we're doing. Look at this project. It'd be nice to get,
Well, like a ground, wasn't that like a ground?
well, it would be nice to get the people who, public, like the Free Press and
Yeah.
Channel 5 or whatever
Yeah.
out here
That
to
it's
say.
happening.
I'm sure we could even let them know that it's happening.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Sure.
hard to make like a time, you see
Time
people
release.
make like a time
Oh,
release.
yeah, we could
video,
totally
yeah.
do that.
Plus, it would be really cool to, if there's any footage from the first time in the
Wow.
50s,
Mhm.
when the building was, even pictures, that would be really fun to
Who would, yeah.
Yeah.
compare that.
Would maybe a youth group want to be involved with,
Who?
take a youth group or some group? We can make it a library event of how you document things, and then they can edit the film, or
Yeah, maybe
You
we
can
could
have one
even
here
partner
after
with MMC TV.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
might like to do something together, and the radio station too, and we could have like a video and an audio element to it.
And you know who might know about old pictures would be Jessica Alexander.
Sure.
They might be in the archives somewhere.
Must be archived.
And so just getting us back to the
sorry.
mailbox, no, that's okay. We just want to focus on the mailbox. Are we putting a 7 on it, or are we doing something more fancy?
Let's start with 7
Yeah.
and
Go from there.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. And then once the 7's on, or once it's installed, you'll do the paperwork to change it so that you're getting a drop off.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
That'll
And
be
is the
fun.
mail okay right now? Are you doing
Yeah.
okay with that? Okay.
Yeah.
Any other building issues? Okay.
just let us know if there's mice issues or anything, if they have to put bait boxes out.
Yeah. I think we haven't seen abnormal mouse activity lately, but I'll definitely let you know if we need to call Miller's again.
And then I guess when another building is when we start opening the windows,
Mm-hmm.
we should get that cleaning done. So we wipe down all the windowsills in case there was any lead dust
Mm-hmm.
from opening and closing the windows. Just a spring clean, you wipe them down with rags, throw the rags away.
Is
So
that
that's probably
something
not-
that our cleaning service, we could ask her to do for additional?
We definitely could.
Right.
Also, Meredith and I, we were gonna flex her hours and then come in on a day the library was closed
Great.
to do some.
Spring cleaning?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. So we
great.
can do that as part, and I can ask Tammy as well.
Okay. All right. Well, then, we've added a public comment since we have a public member here. And we'll want to see if there's any comments from the public. Or questions?
I did have some feedback for you, and that's the reason why I came, because as I was out doing all this stuff, I was,
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed the library director's report.
Oh.
Oh, well, do you want to, we'll just do that after.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I saw them passing it out. Yeah, sorry, Jim.
I just wanted to say a few things to you so that you guys at least heard. I got a lot of feedback about the project, and some of the people who posted
oh, there we
a
go.
lot of nasty stuff are people that I know.
Mhm.
And I was very concerned with what I call disinformation. People were making statements which were not accurate, as if they were expert and they knew what they were talking about. And the town has an awful lot going on. So you might think of me as a sign person. So one of my sign projects was changing one of the members of the select board historically, and then changing from a 3-member board to a 5-member board. And my next task with respect to the town is a town manager. And I'd like to rent one in the meantime, because I don't think the town has a functioning executive. And you need to know finance, you need to know supervision, you need to know all these things. And I'm concerned with a project like yours, with the amount of negative energy that's trying to come at you for a lot of different reasons. But some of the people that I talk to, one of whom I have a tremendous amount of respect for, and he feels that you have a very significant legal organizational issue. And I could not sway that issue because he'd done 3 times as much work as I could have had time to do. And I just wanted to give you a little history that the library's been functioning for a very long time. There were issues in the past, more recent past, and the librarian, let's say, merged with some of the power sources, and that's when the librarian became a town employee, and the board was getting appointed by the select board. We used to elect the board of the
We
library,
remember that.
and that left. So what's now come up as a result of your project is your governance is in serious question as to whether or not you are structurally correct. And that goes to finance, law, and eligibility for grants. And as a supporter of what you're doing, I'm very concerned that you need to focus on governance, because it brings into the question of contributions. And if I want to donate a lot of money, you do not want to be roaming around trying to figure out whether or not you're properly tax qualified. So, and I won't get into any names, but I've been on a few boards in town, and we rescued several organizations that had not done their structural stuff correctly. And so what we did was we wrapped our nonprofit arms around them to cover the people that had already made the contributions.
Who was ours?
Our, yeah.
Well, the arms of the organization that was properly done.
What, or, so some organization, but you're not telling us who?
Yeah, because it's what we call putting camo paint onto errors, and it doesn't. What's important is you have all your stuff in order. So you are a corporation that appears to be owned by the town, and that it's a nonprofit, but at the same time, you also appear to be a municipal library.
This reminds me of the discussion we had during our first open house with
Yeah.
individuals.
Yes.
So it's like
So-
corporation versus municipality.
My suggestion is
With
that
them.
this is not going away. And if you don't resolve it, and this is one of the things, I'm old and I've been around for a long time. This is one of the things, I don't ask the questions of the people that are involved until I already know what the answer is. And I was up in the courthouse up in the islands one day, and I was traveling with a very expensive senior partner from Gravel and Shea. And he said, you know, Jim, I don't think they're right. But before I state my opinion, I want their opinion on the record. So when you've got as much negativity and naysayers who are basically against almost anything, so it's not that they all have credibility, they don't. But there are a few people who I think would be supportive if they saw you addressing the governance issue.
Yeah, so I want to respond to that because I appreciate that, and that has been a concern. I mean, those have been the questions that we've been pondering and wondering and trying to ask the town for information. So Catherine and I have met with the town, our town administrator, who also had similar questions, and we are now going to be meeting with Laura Crane from the select
She's the
board.
librarian at St. Michael's.
Yes, next week, Catherine and I have a meeting with her to get to the bottom of this, because the select board has the same questions. That we're kind of living in this like no man's land situation, because there was a history, and there's all misinformation, and there's the current reality, and we just need to get really clear about what our current reality is.
And my suggestion is that I would delegate this work and do the work yourselves, because you're in the situation possibly because other people haven't done their work, and they could be very defensive, and you also don't know who all your friends are. So there are functioning libraries around the state. So doing research to figure out what other people are doing and how they did it, because you are right now in a hybrid situation. And I'd be very careful as to how I did that. In other words, going to the powers that be until after you've done your research, I don't think is the right approach. I'm finding out what other people have done, because right now, from what I can tell, your charter with the state has lapsed for the corporation.
But our nonprofit is still viable.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't
So
confirm.
to
Still listed.
elaborate on a little bit, so we did, in the past, we weren't considered a municipality. We were a hybrid, independent corporation that was operated by a nonprofit, and we got town funds. Things have morphed at the state level, and now we're considered a municipal library because we receive municipal funds. So they've kind of gone away with that term independent corporation. So I guess we need to see, is the independent corporation, we don't need it anymore. We still need our nonprofit status,
Which we have.
which we have. So where are the difficulties that are people in the community? Why are they coming up?
Well,
with
my
this?
suggestion to you is, and just take this from an old man, there's a lot of stuff flying around out there, and I think a lot of it is disinformation. And if you figure out where you are, and that's paper, Secretary of State, tax returns, filings, there needs to be a file for every single one of these things to verify what you've said, because when you go forward, you need to know that you're right, and you need to have all the backup done. And I know some of the players that messed with this, and they didn't pay attention to what they were doing when they did it. So I think you got a great opportunity. Laura is a trained librarian. I believe she's supportive. I also think Amy Capitan is supportive. I haven't been able to read the other three yet, but you need at least three on your side going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you show them, hey, we've done our homework, because I've heard things and I don't know whether they're accurate as to what your actual facts are, history.
I think we did try to handle this about a year ago, because we were applying for all of these grants. We were making presentations to the select board. These topics did come up. We reached out at the state level, and we got the answer that you are a municipal library.
There's no question that you have, but what I'm trying to say to you is
And the
that
town,
you're a multi-headed animal. You have more than one head. You've got a nonprofit and you have a municipal library. I'm not trying to solve it today.
Yeah.
I'm just saying to you, given what I heard from people who are not going to go away, I would really spend some time doing my homework. And that's an accountant, that's an expert in this type of law, and other organizations that have gone through it. Because you've got people that appear to think that in order to support Deborah Rawson, that they have to take resources away from you or shut you down. And I don't think that's a very constructive way. And people are making public statements and they're not disclosing that they have conflicts of interest. So just as an old man sitting there, I'm just saying to you, I would really spend some time gathering as much information passively because you don't want to ask questions of people that may turn out to be, oh my God. And particularly for people that have made donations, because I think you want to end up being two clear-cut, unequivocal organizations, one a nonprofit that can elicit contributions and do things anonymously and stuff that then supports your public library. And because if I wanted to give you something and I didn't want it, the town has to disclose things that a private organization wouldn't have to do. So I've been on the JCPA, I don't know how many decades now, but we've gone through a lot of these different things. And so the community center is now part of the Jericho Center Preservation Association. And that was a building that we took over from the town that the town had decided that it was going to sell. So one of the things there, and I'll just talk about it in the context of my offering this information to you, I think that you have major league site issues, structural site issues here that were not properly developed by all the consultants. I participated in it, hundreds of thousands of dollars got
So now
spent.
you're talking about the building.
I'm talking about the building.
Okay.
Yeah, in other words, I'm suggesting you deal with governance, and then I'm going to suggest that you deal with site issues. And I own a lot of the land above you. My family does. And we shed a lot of water this way. And there's a lot of ledge. And when I brought these issues up to the very expensive consultants, multiple ones, that's not within the scope of our project. So when you start talking about building things,
Well, there is drainage for the property. It was included in the $317,000 cost analysis. Now that the architect said that 317 was primarily done for doing bidding for grants, right? So it was never intended to be at the state or at the select board level to use these numbers for anything else other than grants.
I
So
sat through a lot.
I'm not sure about
within
that.
this, I have it
I
right
don't
here.
think so. I'm not sure about
Within this document, Jim, there is, to put a new foundation in there, it's $134,000. And you have, for the drainage and everything, you do
for
have
phase one.
thousands of dollars in here.
And
So,
I didn't, I
But
just.
we need to like get on track here.
I
Let's
just
get a
wanted,
flow here. Yeah.
if you can just let me finish
Yeah,
and now
okay.
I'll leave you alone. I think that there's a big picture, governance,
Heard.
site, logistics. I'm suggesting, I've built septic systems in Vermont for 50 years. I think there's issues that need to be understood about the proposed septic system for here. I was here when your well was done. I've spent a lot of time with the people who were doing the Boulder Hill Stormwater Project, and they, just like the consultants here, they did not deal with the ledge. It was not, and yet there's ledge surfacing right here. So if I were in your shoes, before I would jump into spending more money, I would get some good people, and there's some really good local people that are free to do some of this research and figure out where the water's going to go, because all the water from this side comes down here. That's going to be a problem if you keep your septic system where it's proposed. And the town, so the church owns this garage over here. They've got logistics.
No, that's sitting on our land.
They own the garage.
It's
on our land.
used by the,
It's clearly sitting on town land.
But that doesn't create, all I'm saying is it's used by the church. And
Nice machine.
if I can I'll just dump this and you guys can do with it what you want. There are free experts, sites, logistics, construction, and accessibility that I think could be brought together and help you. And that there's 5 interrelated projects that you need to be aware of. One of them is the Bolger Hill stormwater issue. The other is the T intersection that's designed to be out here, which we all advocated for, which was done almost 12 years ago by the former town engineer, which would have given you additional parking, helped you with your handicapped accessibility. And then the boardwalk study, which was another couple $100,000, which helps the whole center become a pedestrian-friendly, interactive. And then the Jericho Center wastewater study, which to go build a septic system here, if in fact they're going to build a municipal wastewater system, and then the library building itself. So I just think that there's a great opportunity in coordinating with the church and with the community center, because if you have to go out of business for a period of time while you're lifting the building, you could coordinate with the JCPA and we could temporarily house the library over there.
Right.
And I'm an advocate for them doing some work over there, and they've got ledge behind that. So I'm just saying, I think if you I think there's a great opportunity to do a fabulous job and pull all of these various pieces together, because almost anything you go to do is going to run into one of these issues, whether it's stormwater or whether it's traffic, as you try to do all that you're trying to do. So that's
And Jim, one other comment you had mentioned to me was, what about the 50,000 over 4 years?
I personally think, I also have an MBA, so, and I was a financial advisor for 40 years. I think you have an opportunity to do municipal financing. The advantage of municipal financing is you pay 1/2 or less of the interest rate that I pay. Okay? You can finance it over 20 to 30 years. So when people say, oh, we don't want to spend that money, you're better off to spend the money now and finance it.
Yes.
Well, I don't want that in my
That was
property.
the treasurer.
That was the town treasurer who had recommended that.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I assume he's gonna do a loan.
Yeah,
I assume he's gonna take.
like a loan.
Well,
Yeah.
let me just say,
Let Jim
listening to the people that I listened to, when you want, if you get the governance thing taken care of, because if I want to give you $200,000, I don't want my deduction bouncing on my tax return because things weren't in order in an audit.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, part of the governance piece too, when we're having these conversations with the select board in the next weeks, as we now know the results, is to think about, like having them also take financial responsibility for the library, right?
the select board are people that I know intimately. Eric Johnson I've known for a long time. I was one of the advocates for him to run. There isn't a financial person on the board.
Right, no, at the town.
I'm saying to you
Yeah.
that you're expecting something from the select board that they're expecting you to do for yourself and bring it to them, or they would have done the article that just got passed differently. So from a present value perspective, if you want to increase the expenditures of the town and you want to affect my property taxes, and that's where most of your negativity is coming from. So that when you're doing structure and you're investing in a piece of real estate, you do not expense it. It's a capital item and it has a useful life of up to 50 to 75 years. This is 200 years. So you should be amortizing that capital over the life, the useful life of the property. You should not be trying to blow it through this year's fiscal budget. And so as I watched all this stuff, I'm saying, oh man, Why aren't you guys getting better direction? So I'm saying to you, I think you can get some really good direction, and then you bring a package to your donors, to the town, that says, this is what we'd like to do, and this is the way that we would like to do it. Because you, on one hand, you're at $1.3 million, and on the other hand, you're at 300,000. I've built a lot of things. If I spend 300 grand and I don't do it in the context of the larger project, I'm going to spend half of it or more twice. I'm better off to make sure that my plan is layered structurally to be part of the future plan that I'm doing the current plan. But I can tell you that I'm very, very concerned that the fundamentals with respect to this site have in fact not been done.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you being here too, and all your support of the library with the signs.
Absolutely.
And took
You just
notes.
can't tell them that I'm
And-
helping you, because there's a few people around for some strange reason that don't like me.
Well, you know, can't please everyone. So thank you, Jim. I'm gonna go back to the library director's report.
Yeah. So there was nothing abnormal with our circulation this month. It's a little bit up from this time last year. We had 913 print items circulate, and then 301 ebooks and audiobooks on Libby. We added 103 new items to the collection, and I finally got us set up with Ingram, which is the new vendor we'll largely be using to replace Baker and Taylor, which, if you remember, they went out of business.
And what do they give us for a discount?
It's the same discount that Baker and Taylor gave us.
Great.
Yeah. So there
I
are.
think that would be a bad business model. If Baker went out of business with that discount,
Yeah.
they then turn around and give us 40% off.
Yeah, it's up to 40% off. It depends on what the material is. But there's also one other company that does that as well, called Brodart. But I guess Brodart and Ingram are
The big
last
ones.
standing.
I think they were put out years ago.
Yeah, we did have an account, but it wasn't active anymore. But yeah, so I'm really excited about that. We should get our first shipment from them sometime this month. And we had 8 new patrons come, and a lot of people visit the library because of the discussions that were going around concerning the town meeting day vote. So it was really nice. A lot of people came to check out the building, but also it seemed like we had some new faces.
Patrons.
We had a few people come in who said they hadn't been here in decades, and they came to just talk about the project or
See what all
what's
the new
new.
buzz is about.
Yeah. Mhm. So it was good advertising for us in a way. Then for programs, we ran our typical programs, our Thursday story time, fiber arts circle. We had our speculative fiction book club. The sustainability book club also met in February. That's organized by the Conservation Commission. And then we also had the Snowflake Festival in February, which was really fun. We worked with the community center, the radio station, and Deborah Rawson. We had a week full of really great activities. They were really popular. A lot of people came. We kicked off with Sue Richardson from the Historical Society in Old Mill. She did a Snowflake Bentley story time on Saturday morning, and then we did snow globe crafts afterwards. It was very fun. And the adults kind of enjoyed talking with her as well. I'd love to have her back for an adult-centric activity at some point too. She just knows so much about the history in town. I'm gesturing towards Linda because Linda works with her at the mill. And then we also had, Deborah Rawson did a STEAM activity on that Tuesday, and Riot Craft Studio did lantern making at the community center on Wednesday, which was the early release day that month. Miss Emma Cook came to do a snow-themed music and movement, and then the community center radio station put on the snowball, which we helped out with, and then we had a Snowflake Man puppet show on Sunday, and that was really great.
Good job.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she was
amazing.
incredible. So programming kind of is running as normal, and we're looking forward to some good spring activities as well. And I've started talking with Abby at Deborah Rawson about summer reading as well, though nothing is really set in stone yet. We're going to meet later this month. She's on vacation, I think, this coming week. And then we're meeting on the 20th, something like that. In terms of professional development, I haven't used the conference budget yet this year, and I was thinking about using it to go virtually to the Public Library Association virtual conference. The physical conference is in Minneapolis this year, but it's 3 days. You get the virtual sessions available for 30 days afterwards on demand too. So that's $453. And it's also nice because the other people who work or volunteer here can also sit in on those sessions, which I think will be great. And then finally, for outreach and fundraising, we've had a lot of continued donations in various ways come in. I think everybody knows this, but the building project was in the Burlington Free Press, and also ABC came out. They were doing a story particularly about town meeting day, and that we were on the ballot. We've ordered some new merchandise or made some new merchandise. Oh, I meant to bring some up. Martha, who volunteers here on Thursday, she did some really beautiful jelly printed cards with quotes on them from famous books. So we're going to see if people might like to purchase those. We're going to take them to our fundraising event on Saturday with Cyber Sled Dogs. And then I also ordered stickers that have our old logo on them because I thought we could lean into the nostalgia. It's very cute. It's the logo that Tracy Campbell Pearson made for us in the past. And then this was very sweet. I went to the post office a few weeks ago. I'll just pass these around. And I got this package that I wasn't expecting. And it turned out that my dad had posted about the building project on Facebook. And someone he used to work with mailed the homemade bookmarks to us and said we could sell them to use as a fundraiser. So
really sweet.
he had like 30 of them. I just thought it was very wholesome and lovely. The big grant is due March 31st. I'm still working on that. We have the signed letter of support from the select board. I went to a select board meeting in February. Lindsay's going to sign a letter of support from the board of trustees, from the library board of trustees. But other than that, I think I have all of the documents already that we need in order to submit.
When do they make a decision?
I'm not sure.
Is there a max that you can receive for this one?
It's
Yes,
very specific.
it's $50,000 to $400,000, but they also encouraged us to apply for very specific projects. So what we had talked about and what I presented to the select board was we are applying for the money to do the foundation and to do the roof repairs. Because those were two specific projects that we have line item budget or estimates for.
It says summer 2026 department announces awards, but that could be
August.
Or it could be September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are several phases, so we'll know as we go along whether, if we're progressing or not. And actually, I think it gave me some insight into the last time we applied for a big grant through them. We made it to the final round last time because it's the same process they're using this year. They explained a little bit more about it, or at least I think it's probably the same process with the same number of phases. And the last phase is asking people for more information and then winnowing it down and deciding. And they did ask us for more information last time. So we got really close.
Yeah, I think without the flood, we would have gotten much.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely possible. So hopefully we have a good shot at it, but we'll submit the grant later this month. And then we have Cyber Sled Dogs. Milagro Turner had offered to do a fundraiser for us. So this Saturday at 3 p.m., she always goes to Smuggler's Notch with the dogs. And there's, like a meet and greet with the dogs. It's a $20 per person to go. She is going to be donating this Saturday's her proceeds from the sales to us this Saturday.
That's lovely.
Nice.
Yeah, so I've advertised it. It does seem like everyone who's bought tickets so far is a tourist, but that's great. Maybe they'll learn about our library and feel like buying a bookmark or something. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about that was also in our new business is the digital silent auction. We have some items that were donated to the Snowball. And there wasn't a large enough crowd to really support a silent auction at the Snowball. So the community center donated those items to us to try to do online or with a broader audience. So I think we need to maybe get some more items to put onto the silent
And a timeline
auction.
for when we're doing it.
Yeah.
Great. And we'll talk more about that.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions about the director's report?
You don't want to go to Minneapolis, do you?
Maybe not. Maybe I'll just do it virtually.
Okay, so we don't have too much on old business. There's only one thing on old business, and that's just the building rehabilitation project, past and future meetings with the town about the project and projected timeline. So right now what we have is Catherine and I met with Paula before town meeting day just to connect about the RFP process and get some more clarity around like some of the questions that have been floating around. And so that was an informative meeting, but also like informative and encouraging, and like that there's definitely like a strong partnership and a wanting to work together. There was a question around 2017. What was that when the library became? That's when there was a town vote. Someone brought it up at the last meeting. The vote to have the one. Do you know what I'm talking
Like
about?
articles of
Town employee?
incorporation or
Town employee.
Town employee.
Right.
yeah.
I think it was 2017,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
that makes sense.
Because there was a question, was it 2007? Was it 2017? It's 2017 when there was a town vote, just for clarification. Next week, Catherine and I are meeting with Laura Crane from the
Can I
Select
just
Board.
and just say something? This meeting prior to the March meeting dates, in your further meetings, you keep on saying yourself and Catherine, there's 4 people on the building committee, and we all agreed that we're going to communicate. It's a level of trust. That meeting, I was not informed of you having a meeting with Paula.
I think we've already said that Paula reached out to me as the chair of the board and asked for a meeting. I said, any meeting that we have, I want Catherine to be there as our library director. She is the
You
sole
also-
employee. It was not a building committee meeting,
It was
Tom.
an RFP meeting that I'm involved with. And
Okay,
you received let me finish. You received an email from me back in November that all communications and meetings will be within the 4 of the committee. So by you just going and determining on yourself to leave other people out of this RFP meeting.
this was not an RFP meeting,
You
okay?
just said it was an RFP
Tom,
meeting.
First of all, there have been times where you have missed information in your email where these things have been communicated and corresponded. So as a board, yes, and you asked me to resend you the RFP. The RFP has been shared with the building committee a number of times. This
That was
was
the
not,
current
this was,
RFP.
okay, time out. Enough with this. This is ridiculous. Okay, we have to do this work. If we wait for everyone to say, I can show up for a meeting, there was nothing discussed that was like secretive or anything at all. Paula reached out to me and said, I have some questions. Can you meet? I said, I can meet. It was not a building committee meeting. I said, it's very important that Catherine is a part of these meetings as the sole, as a director of the library. She is the face of the library. It was not a building committee meeting. It was not an RFP meeting. It was a meeting to go through a few things around the process. We informed everyone of it. It was not a secret meeting. I can share with you what we talked about, if I even can recall, but it was not anything other than really just Paula getting very clear on our process so she can be a supporter of this project. We are not leaving anyone out. There seems to be a level of kind of like paranoia about being, or like FOMO about being left out. Honestly, I've said this a number of times, my work schedule and my life schedule is extremely busy. So if someone asks me to meet, it's usually around my schedule, and that's, Paula was accommodating. Laura reached out to Catherine and I as the chair of the board and the library director. It's not a building committee meeting. It is let's figure out how the select board can have a liaison to the library so that we are in clear communication, so we're not running into any sort of misinformation in the community, so we can move things forward. No one is leaving you out at all. There is no intentions, I promise. Usually it's me. People have often reached out to me, and I'm like, I should not be the only one privy to these conversations. Our library director should be there. She is the face of our library. So that's the end of it. There's no secret meetings. If you want to come to the meeting with Laura and Catherine and I, you're welcome to, but it's not about the building project at all. It's about our relationship with the select board. And that's period.
Well, I
End
guess
story.
it does, for me, it does involve the building project, because if we were going to try to communicate that how this funding is going to happen with this building, I think that is part of the process of the building committee. So we can educate the select board of why the funding needs to be finalized. For instance, we could say, would you want to do a kitchen renovation? And then tell your contractor, come back in 12 months from now and we can put the sheetrock up. They have to understand that it should be a one lump sum and possibly put it on a
That's
bond
not what
vote.
this meeting is about with
No,
Laura at all.
but it's educating your liaison who's going to be talking to the select board about this project.
Okay,
The main
but fair
reason why
enough.
this
We
liaison
both get that. I mean, I think that you should
love to come.
trust.
That would be great.
Okay, well then you could reach out to Laura and see if you can attend the meeting as well. It was not a meeting that you were invited to, but I'm sure you could come.
That would be great.
Great. And I'm going to ask that we stick to the meeting and we do not derail the meeting with any kind of reports or agendas or things like that. This is us trying to build bridges with the select board, not trying to create more divisiveness between JTL and the rest of the town. We should feel so proud of the work that we did to get that vote to pass, despite however many people are naysayers or whatever it might be. But I just feel like you do not trust me or Catherine to lead the library. I'm the chair of the board. If you want to be chair next time, please, whenever my term's over, pass it on. But if you do not trust our leadership in messaging this and making sure that we're doing what's best for JTL, then I think we need to explore that. Like, I think that there's a trust issue, and we are very clear about like the vision of everyone. We're not having secret conversations. I'm not a builder, nor, is the role, so that's why we are asking them for their partnership, the town, to really make sure that we are following the process that the town, policies, procedures, we are following those. So,
Can I say
yes.
something? So looking back at my notes from January 6th, and we did say building rehabilitation committee. The board approved Tom's request to become a member of this ad hoc committee. Members now include Lindsay, the chair, Tom, Catherine, and Jeff when needed. So I think, Tom, I guess my question personally would be to you, are you okay if you find out they're having a meeting and if you can't make it, are you expecting them to change?
No, not at all.
Okay,
But
so-
I would like to be included in those type of meetings, because communication is The
Okay, so
foundation.
you're gonna be fine if
Oh, of course, yes.
you
If
just
I'm
want to
not
be
about-
invited, like. to
I
the
just,
birthday.
You are
no, I just
more than
know.
welcome.
I just want to know that there's been communication, they're setting up a meeting.
Right.
If I can make it, that's great. If
Is that
Lindsay
fair
can't
enough?
make it and
Fair
wants
enough.
somebody else
Yeah.
to talk from the library, that's great too. That's what a committee does.
Okay, so,
We communicate.
Enough.
Jeff, do you
Yeah.
need to be invited?
No.
Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure.
I don't
Anybody else
wanna
want to
be
be invited? Okay.
No, thank you.
Okay.
I do think next month we should have a discussion about the incorporation.
Mhm.
I think we need to.
I agree.
So I'll take that on to have to work with folks and
Great.
Catherine so that everybody understands where we are with these things.
Great. And that be very, and the thing is that the town's not even clear. So that's when we were talking with Paula was about that, was there's just so much of this history versus what the current reality is and a gray area and the town isn't even clear. And that's why Laura wants to have this conversation. Honestly, the building is not even, the structural repairs is not part of that conversation that she requested a meeting to talk about kind of like the the select board was like, what is the library? They're asking the same questions. So she wants to be really, really on. So do you want to come to that meeting?
No.
Because that is on March 18th at 4:15, right?
Yeah.
March
4:15.
18th at 4:15 at the library for anyone that wants to, although we'll have a quorum and then we're going to be officially having a board meeting. So we need to be a little bit, mindful of that too. Okay, thank you. Okay. You're very busy that day.
Jeff, also, I think in terms of the incorporation versus municipality, I don't think that we're the only public library in Vermont that has faced this situation recently because it was when I came on that we started getting our funding from the state differently. When Gretchen was here, which was still pretty recent, it did come directly to us, and then they started sending it to the town. And it's just clear from the way they're communicating that that's not just us. Other libraries have also been kind of struggling with that. So I think there are definitely people that we can reach out to who have navigated this or are navigating it.
And perhaps Laura, I know she's the, she's a library director at St. Mike's, which is a different institution, but she might have more knowledge to share. So that is why we're meeting with Laura, March 18th, 4:15 p.m. here. And the goal is to discuss the partnership with the select board. I've also received a reach out from Chris Brown, who's our newest select board member, and is really curious and supportive of this project and has a lot of building expertise and wants just to also kind of understand more about it. So he reached out. I also
He seemed very supportive.
Very supportive, at the meeting. And he was very in his email. And I invited him to that meeting as well on the 18th. They said, Laura's meeting with us. You're welcome to join us. So
That would be good,
Yeah,
especially as a new
a new
member,
one,
you
yeah.
can sort of start getting a
Yeah.
sense of-
I also shared with him the structural engineer report, the phase drawings, the budget, all of the materials that we've shared with the select board. So that way he has all the stuff. Yeah, because he was curious.
So this meeting is not about the building project. It's about the relationship between ourselves and the board.
And I
and
guess,
the governance issues.
the governance issues is number one. That then plays into, okay, as we proceed with this project, what's the protocols? How do we go about this? So I think just getting some clarity on that, but not getting into specifics of the actual, this person's going to come and do this part of the work or anything, the RFP. I mean, the question around the RFP might be like, the March 19th meeting was one when we met with Paula, was like, okay, let's see what happens with the town vote. Then March 19th would probably be the right date for us to share the draft RFP once she's had the town lawyer look over it, to then have a conversation with the select board around the RFP. And just make sure that they were in support of like the RFP as written, or if it needs revisions, and the timeline for the project as well. So I think you all have maybe not, maybe just the building committee has the latest RFP from via the latest draft of it with an updated timeline based on the fact that we moved it so that it reflected the town meeting day vote. Right? Does everyone get it, or just the building?
I don't think I have it.
Would you all like to see it?
Sure.
Okay, I'll send
And
it to you.
it's, we can talk about that a little bit later, but I just want to just clear the air for just 1 second. I think I may have gone down the wrong path in why I was asking to be involved. It wasn't a trust issue. I totally trust your judgment. For me, I just don't want to spend any money until it's time. I've been here long enough. I've seen $100,000 already just in plans. So when we were talking previous about RFPs and getting the attorney to see it and all, my suggestion was wait until the town meeting day, because if the vote doesn't go through, why have the attorney waste money on it, the architects do more on it. For me, it was just a cost savings. So it wasn't a personal issue of trust within anyone in this room. My desire is I want to see this building get as much done as possible with as little waste. And that's what was driving me. It wasn't a personal
Okay,
issue.
I appreciate that.
So it wasn't, I totally trust everybody here. But for me, sincerely, my motivation behind that is I just want to see more money go to the project.
Yeah,
So I
agreed.
apologize if
Yeah.
I came off in that manner, but saving the money was where I was,
Okay, thank you.
in my heart. was
Yeah,
where I was
appreciate
trying to
that. Yeah.
Okay.
That feels very clear now. And agree. I mean, I think when you made that point about we need to wait until the vote, like we all were like, yeah, that makes a lot. And we all were like, of course that makes sense. We need to wait until the vote because we don't really know what the next steps will be. So I think the only thing that VIA did was adjust the timeline based on the town meeting day vote, and that was it. But I will share it with everyone. Okay. That's all the old business. Any questions about that? Okay. Fundraising strategies for the library project. So the online auction that Catherine already spoke to, I think we just need to get clear on, well, number one, is this the job of the board or is it the job of the Friends group? And if we need to activate them to work on it, we can certainly do that. Or if there's board members that want to work with the Friends group on it together, knowing that we have some auction items, we want to make a timeline for getting more auction items. And typically what I've noticed with online auctions is there's a time period, like over the next 2 weeks, there's an online auction, and people can see how the bids change. Here's the starting bid, and then people can, increase the bid, and then there's a ending, and then there's the announcement of the winners, right? Or you get your prize, or you get your items. So, and we can do gift cards and experiences and art and material items. I mean, all those things can go on an online auction. You can just do anything. What do people feel like is the right timeline for that?
And advertising it.
Mm-hmm. And not like overdoing it for people, because they've gotten a lot from us too. People have given a lot too.
Yeah. So I think we should wait a bit. Maybe late April, May.
Spring.
We just had our winter drive.
Yeah.
We just had this push, maybe midsummer with the dog parade, just showing something, the services that we do for the town. And the pet parade's a pretty big one.
Either like a late spring, kind of like
Spring cleaning.
Spring
People
cleaning.
are cleaning out their houses. Maybe they can donate some items for the auction.
and buy some new ones.
Right.
Buy somebody else's.
Where are we gonna house these things?
Oh, that's just a spitballing idea. That's,
No, but
you could easily just get like, well, there's a shed right across the
We can ask the church if we could have. I mean, typically it's like, a gift card to
Yeah, something like-
Stone's Throw, or like a massage, or a haircut, or a pottery item, or jewelry, like earrings or something. Like people usually will donate those things, so the items themselves might not be that large.
Not hard to store.
Yeah.
Coupons too.
Yeah, exactly.
Catherine, do the friends know of somebody a website that does the virtual, like you mentioned that to me. about the
Yes.
Nancy
So
website.
I think there is probably more than one, but when we did the tickets for the snowball, Kate did it from the radio station, did it through Give Butter, and they also have an online auction capability, and it's
And it's
free,
free, right, if you're not.
for nonprofits.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So people can use a credit card to
Yeah.
purchase. Oh,
Mhm.
that's good.
So what about like a May auction? I don't know.
And I think that's great.
I think May's a good month.
Okay, because that will give us time and the friends group, if we could ask them if each friend could find 3 to 5 items, like kind of give them a task, and then they have until April to do it, or whatever. And then if someone wants to set it up from the friends group, or I don't know, it might be really easy to set up.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
even mind doing it. I don't think that
Once we have the
part's
items,
hard.
it's the items
Yeah, I just don't
solicitation.
want to be sourcing everything.
Will the next item on here is the friends group. Will they be meeting again sometime?
Yes, we'll be meeting again. Well, I'll meet with them. We were supposed to meet this past week, but then we couldn't because Martha wasn't feeling well.
Got it.
But hopefully soon before
Okay.
the end of the month.
So in March, maybe just asking them as one of the tasks to,
Yeah.
if each person could find 3 to 5, I don't know, 5 items.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
And I
sometimes
think the board could also,
Mhm.
Yeah.
each
How
of
about
us
that?
Yeah.
could come up with 1 or 2 items.
Totally.
sometimes services like a chimney sweep or a mall
Mhm.
cleanup,
Yeah.
those were big in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe have them do a little brainstorm session and then
Yeah.
they can kind of divide and conquer.
I know Pete donated for the pet parade last year his time doing tree work.
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, that was
Wow.
popular.
like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
So-
I put out some ideas and I.
Yes,
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And the
grabbing
email
those,
chain.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll grab them from the
Totally.
email chain. And then we have, I think, like 4 or 5 already, too, from the community center.
Okay. And then it's advertising.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well that's, any other fundraising pieces?
Go ahead, Jeff.
Just put it in the back of your mind that with what you're doing, if you can attract pledges by in effect asking people to make installments, and then estate planning, if you say to people who may not have a chunk of cash, but that they understand and support the purpose, they can make a bequest in their will or trust, and it becomes tax deductible to the estate. And so when you go out for your philanthropic raise, you really want to get as many hooks out with as much bait on them as you possibly can. And older people appreciate being asked about legacy things. And so some of the things that have been done, we bought the building for the community center, and yes, it gets a stipend from the town, but the majority of the money is raised from the activities and from donations. And I will give you one hot tip. The Tarrant Foundation, I went to school with Richie, and unfortunately he's passed away, but as I understand, his widow looks at projects, and
I think they
You-
sunsetted. They just sunsetted.
I've heard that.
But maybe there's some other, yeah.
Well, it's just if you reach out to some of those people,
Okay,
that,
yeah.
and then 2 other things and I'm done. One, given the fact that you're an educational, kid-based family community, there's two words that I want to just include in your concepts, and they are geothermal. That the way to reduce the impact of this building on the environment, its logistics promote geothermal. And I think it's a really cool thing to talk about. It tends to be capital intensive, but if you're building something and you know you want to get to geothermal, you need to make the provisions as you're doing it. But you also have a very deep, large well. And one of the ways that you do geothermal is with a well. So you may already have a major investment towards being able to offset a lot of your energy expenses and also be kind of cool. The other thing is, with your permission, the Jericho Community Center, the JCPA, owns the septic system that is in front of the JCPA. If you think about it, that used to be the elementary school. There was a ton of kids in those schools. And I can't quote you exactly what the capacities are, but the uses are very low. So we've now become the host for the expansion of the church. So the church puts its effluent into the system of the JCPA, and then the JCPA owns a parcel of land, alias the ball field, which is behind all the other buildings on the other side of Brown's Trace. And that's the backup for if there was a failure on the septic system. And with your permission, I will talk to the board at the next meeting, because your uses, in my opinion, are pretty light. Mm-hmm. And let's just say that we're going to a municipal sewer somewhere other than here. It may well be that we could just put a holding tank and a pump station and push the effluent over to the JCPA system and never build the system here. That could save you 30 to 50 grand. And also not interfere with your site the way building a septic system would be. And it would give you a hedge against. So those are my three things.
Thank you.
Geothermal, estate planning, and what we call annuity donations. You make a pledge and then you pay it over 10 years or whatever. And then with your permission, you can just let me know, it's okay. I've had this idea before, and I apologize, I forgot about it, because we call it directional boring. I've gone almost a mile with a tube that we put effluent in, and we can go up over hills. And it's the same thing the Saudis used to drill into the other Arabs' land. They go like 15 miles underground, but it's a little tool. And so we could literally probably bore from here all the way over to the community center and not free dig it. And then people like Engineers Construction, who are one of the directional bores, is owned now by an ESOP, Employee Stock Ownership Plan. And if we approach people like that, would you guys be willing to do a demonstration project in Jericho Center and drill from here over to there? And because they literally can turn and they can go down, and it's called a smart head. And so I just think that there's some opportunities. So create some synergy between the church, the JCPA, the library, and I think you'll end up with a lot more support long term. And I think you'll save a lot of money.
Okay.
What would it cost to directional bore something?
It all depends upon what whether there's ledge or, like for example, we use prototype documents. If we're doing an RFP, we don't invent new ones. We go, everything that's needed to do anything legally has already been invented. So we just grab prototype documents, fill in the blanks, and we're done. So we might need an easement to go from here over through either one of the three properties here to get to the septic tank. So the JCPA gave an easement to the church to get from the church building into the septic system when they did their improvements.
Jim, where is the church's septic tank?
It's ours. Their septage goes into the tank in front of if I'm driving between the two buildings, JCPA is here, church office is here, the tank's right there.
Okay, so you could just dump into that tank.
Well, yeah, you actually, all you want to do is just hit the line that comes already from the church.
We feed into the church, that then feeds into the.
Bingo.
All right, so that's good because all of our estimates here so far don't include septic. So that might be a big hit.
I try to be friendly and creative, and I don't like spending money. I like
Thanks for
receiving
joining
it.
us.
Thank you very much.
When do you think we could maybe have an answer if that's a doable option?
Well, if Catherine tells me that I got a green light to talk on your behalf to those people, tolerate me, I'm sort of like, I've got too much history to be argued with, but that literally I put the septic line in from the JCPA into the tank after, anyway. But so Terry Hook and I were down in the ditch. So I had a PhD, IBM top flight engineer down in the ditch with me. So I think there's a great opportunity here. Save some money, get some creativity, and then, like for example, if let's just say you got all this funded and you wanted to build this year, what are you going to do with the function of the library? I really encourage you. So
Yeah, definitely.
we talked to the guys with the tents, and we put the tent behind the JCPA, and all of a sudden the library can just move over there for 2 months, or we got a bunch of modular buildings and stuff. And the thing is, if you don't ask the people, they're not going to give it to you. But Ireland's got more cranes than he knows what to do with. And if we give him a nice deduction and a lot of good press, maybe he'll come over and pick the building up for us.
That was one of my next things we can talk about as a board is who do we start a sponsor list? We already have the roofers as sponsors. Do we put something out on our lawn, a billboard, and say, hey, do you want to become a sponsor for the project? And you could maybe populate.
I don't know if we want to do that.
You got to get some.
We need the
But
construction
anyway,
manager.
All right, thank you.
I don't know whether he
Yeah.
still works for Ireland, but the chief operational guy lives in the house with the red barn behind it,
Limoges.
Limoges. And I don't
Regina
know.
used to be on the board here.
He moved.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think
They
that's
moved and moved to Essex.
Mhm.
Matt Wheeler.
Matt Wheeler. I'm names take, but anyway, he would be a great intro. But he was a senior level guy, and Chad Bradshaw is now a senior guy for Ireland. So there's a lot of friendly. They have 1,000 employees.
So did he move from Hutchins?
Hi, Jim.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Sorry to be so windy.
Thank you for your signs.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
They are heritage. If anybody wants one, just let me know.
I'm gonna preserve it. It's gonna be a special item.
Put in the garage.
You can put
Yeah.
that on the silent auction.
I'm gonna put that, I'm gonna frame
It
it.
does
Yeah.
have them in the back of the Jeep. So
Got
if
plenty.
anybody wants one, I'll bring
Yeah.
some up here.
The only other thing on our agenda is really quick. It's the timeline for the bylaw subcommittee, which is Linda, myself, and Catherine. We just never, with everything that was happening before town meeting, we never got a chance to do that. So we just need to, maybe we can just stay after and find a time to meet, and then we can bring the draft to the next meeting in April. I also think we need to wait on the bylaws a little bit, because now we're having these conversations with, so this will be maybe good timing. We're having a conversation with the select board to understand kind of like,
What are we?
and also, are we appointed by the select board? How does this work? All those different pieces. There are some things in there that can easily be updated. I already went through and started doing some revisions to it because they're old, but then there's some questions and maybe we can bring. And if Laura is our liaison, those are things that we could be, asking her, and she can be giving us information. So
It seems like now's the time to just clear everything up, figure out what we are, and then just move forward.
yeah,
And that
At
way
the
there's no
state
more
level.
ambiguity about it, and no more questions, and no more misinformation.
exactly.
just put it to bed and move
Totally.
on.
Yeah.
I think we tried when we put our question and answer sheet out. We basically told everybody what it was. And then people get in there and start doing Google searches or AI searches, and it will come up with 30 pages of gook, whether it's right or wrong, but you just get populated with all this stuff.
I don't think we'll ever be without someone having a
Yeah.
concern or being upset or not accepting what the answer is. But if we're on a unified front with the select
Yes.
board,
Mhm.
where it's not just us saying it, it's the select board backing, like this is what the Jericho Town Library is, we'll always have like a small percentage of people who just don't agree.
Oh, yeah, there's always naysayers.
But I think even with the vote, I think the majority of folks will support whatever we are, or whatever
Agree.
we classify ourselves as.
And what were some of the questions that people were like, okay,
I
you're,
was-
you're a nonprofit?
I was gonna ask him, but
Well,
maybe it
I
seems
think
like
it's basically
we
we're
can.
talking about the, well, I think, it was a question that got brought up during our first information session.
Right.
Municipality versus
Corporation.
Corporation.
How do we go about
We-
defining that and
I
saying
think
this
that's
is what
the
we are?
process that we're on currently
Yeah.
with like getting with the select board and trying to figure all that out.
But
And they don't
we
even
did
know.
this.
Right,
so-
Yeah,
which is
so-
like the time for us all to get together and just like have the hard discussion about what is this and how do we all get on the same page and classify ourselves properly so that we're just done.
Where like our money is
I
dispersed
think
through
right
the
now
town.
we're both.
We
Yeah,
are,
yeah,
both.
yeah.
I think
We
the
are,
problem is that we're
yeah.
both,
Yeah.
and I think there's some stuff we need to do
Yeah.
to become one, just to become a municipal library.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And make it clear, so
Yeah.
with a,
And it's around like how our money, I mean, like our money is dispersed, but like also like the fact that we have, you're keeping our books, but like the town should be keeping our books technically, right? I mean that, or maybe not. I mean, we can decide that.
Well, we're a
But like-
nonprofit. We're a nonprofit.
I have offered
Well,
this
that's-
out several
I
times.
know.
Yeah.
They're not interested.
Tom, I
Yeah.
think that's what the question is. Like the incorporated is being a nonprofit.
It is.
There, people are using that interchangeably. So like,
Incorporated, I'm thinking, people are thinking an independent, because there used to be an independent public library. That there used to be a category of that, which you used to be, or a corporation was independent and you receive public money. So are people trying to use that?
I think because we are a nonprofit still that has an EIN, that's why people are saying you're not municipal.
Did did we figure out that the Friends Group incorporated? Is that official? Like, cause
Apparently.
I remember during that open house that got brought up.
Yeah.
And we,
I mean, we should just double check, and then we should decide, once we have these conversations
Right.
with the town, is do we need to, like, it makes sense for the Friends Group to keep the EIN, right? That, to have a nonprofit arm is what many libraries have with their Friends Groups. But if we are truly municipal, then we probably should close the existing one, and just have the Friends of
Right.
Jericho Town Library, exist. So we have to, right now, I think there's two, potentially.
Sometimes it's beneficial because you can't get grants. They won't give grants to a municipality.
No, right. And sometimes they will only do that, right? Like
Yeah.
depending on your status.
Yeah.
And that's why having the arm with the nonprofit being the Friends Group, they can apply for the grants. They can be doing the fundraising, right?
Why is that any different from us being an arm of the municipality?
I don't know. Well, that's where it gets really tricky
I
because
think
we're,
this gets
we're not-
into
we're not
the
agents
muddiness
of- The town.
but we have a town employee.
Yeah,
I think that's where
that's-
it's like, this is a
it's-
really gray area with the town employees, our money being dispersed through the town. There's just like kind of like, we're both and you can't be, maybe you can be both, but we got to figure out what both looks like. I don't know. I mean,
we
but
were both for a long time, we're audited every year.
yeah,
And
clearly it's
Taxes every
making
year
a
for everybody.
person
It
very
hasn't
upset about
blown
it.
up, But it is something.
And
we
I
should
think
bring
it's
up.
not, I don't know this because I haven't heard anything, but I would be very surprised if a certain person dropped it.
Dropped it.
Just dropped his
concerns.
displeasure. I'd be very surprised if we don't hear from him again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
The
definitely.
person who was at the
Meeting.
This-
Who has a lot of, has done a lot of research.
Yeah.
Yes. So agree. And I think,
Yeah.
I think those are questions that we have to continue asking, because when we had our meeting with Paula, that wasn't even, there's no answers at the town. So I think